Hi and welcome to Sparkle Chart.
Hi everyone, it's Kate and today I'm going to be creating a colour swatch page or a test page for my Jane Davenport Bright Palette watercolours. Now there's some really beautiful colours in here, blues and pinks, a few greens and even a gorgeous dark ink colour. And it's a lovely bright set, and I wanted to do something a little bit different because I've been trying to create swatch pages, but I don't just want to do something that's practical every time. Sometimes I want to do something that's a little bit fun, like today. So stick with me and I'll show you how I made this. Hi everyone, I'm so sorry if you can hear the frogs in the background. It's nighttime here in Queensland in Australia and I have a frog chorus happening, so please excuse any odd frog noises. This is what happens when I record at nighttime. So I am doing another clip for Lulu Art. Today I'm going to show you a really quick way to do my kind of version of a colour wheel. So I was looking for some ideas on Pinterest and trying to find some different ways to show off some of my colours in my watercolour sets, because I love doing colour wheels but I don't always want them to look exactly the same. And I ran across this beautiful skyline watercolour drawing of New York City, and I thought that would make a practically perfect way to show off my colour palette. So today I'll be using the Jane Davenport Brights set, and these are gorgeous watercolours. Oh, excuse me, I have a few extras here as well. So the Brights set, I have my Holbein masking ink and my Gansai Tambi Starry colours and a cute little Penta water brush. Now, the first thing I've done, let's see if I can show you here, is I've used white transfer paper to add both a skyline and some text. Now this is just so I know where I'm going and I don't make a big mess. So the first thing I'm going to do is use my Holbein masking pen and cover up those letters or cover up those bits of text. And this thing is brilliant for that. And I'm just going to add this over my text here. It just says bright lights, big city. So please excuse me while I speed this up, but I need to get it done quite quickly. Alright, so I've messed up one of the letters, the T here, so I'll have to find a creative way to fix that at the end. But the rest of it's actually looking pretty good. And all I need to do is let this dry. So to get started, I've added a little drop of water to each of the colours in my Jane Davenport Brights palette, and I'm just going to mix them on the palette here. I don't mean mix the colours together, I mean I'm going to mix the colours so I get a nice consistency. So I'm just adding a little of the colour to the palette so that it's well mixed and ready to use. I'm going to clean my brush between colours just so I keep them reasonably true. Oh dear, this is going to end so badly. Safi, please don't step in my paint. Oh my goodness. You can see how I end up with cat fur and everything. Oh my goodness, and she's coming back. Saf, come on. Don't drink the paint water. Oh my goodness. Why do I have cats again? Saf, oh, good grief. I tell you, she loves the camera. Alright, she's going to go watch me from her perch. We might be safe for just a little while. Okay, now for the fun part. And no surprise, I've got cat hair all through this. Sorry about that, guys. So I'm just going to start very carefully by painting water on the little outlines here. And you might need to tilt it to see them. Depends on what you've done. Now because I've got the masking frisket over the letters, I can paint right over the top of those. I'm just going to make sure my whole skyline has a little bit of water. Now this will probably dry as I'm working on it, but it's somewhere to start. Alright, so I have a little bit of water on all of this, but as I'm working it's actually drying. It's one of the drawbacks of not working on watercolour cardstock. But that's okay. So mentally I've kind of split it down the middle here, and I'm just going to paint with one colour. And you can see I'm kind of holding it so that it's pointing downwards a little bit here. And I'm just going to clean off my brush, move on to the next colour, giving it a little bit of a jiggle in the middle there. Okay, so I've got 6 colours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I do each building basically a different colour. Let it run and drip a little. And what I'm going to do is just sort of drag it towards the next colour. Get a bit more of that here. And let those two mix and blend as I go. Now I'm really liking what's happening there, so I'm just going to add a bit more water to my page to make sure that happens everywhere. And I want to keep it organic, I don't want to have it too fussy. So let me just grab the next colour, and I think I'll go the light blue here. Add that so that it mixes. Once I've got this started, it should be reasonably quick. Now I've got some water dripping off my page here. I don't even mind that actually. I know I can clean that up later. Okay, so I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 to go. I might go the yellow next. Technically it's not exactly the way it is in the palette, but I don't really mind. Oh, got a bit of a sneaky bit of blue there. I won't encourage that one too much. Get those mixing here. And onto the pink, I think, here. Now I'm just going to mingle that a bit there and clean off my brush. And a bit more of that truer colour pink here. Now this one here is quite close, so I'm just going to be a little bit careful. Now I'll add a bit more water here as I go, just so it's not too dry. A little bit of artistic license where some of those colours sit. Okie doke, on to this next beautiful colour, and this colour's left to spread this out so it's really beautiful and bold. And one colour to go, and I can't see where my white pencil was anymore. Let's pretend it was here. And I'll add my last colour. Now the beautiful thing is once you have all these on, you can add a bit more darker colour if you like, you can just leave it like it is, or you can fan the bottom out. So there are parts of this I really like. That's not one of them. So you can just sort of touch some of these colours, see how that sort of then takes on a life of its own. I'm just going to do that in a few areas here and let it sort of wick and bleed and do its own thing. I just want to touch it just a little because you don't want it to look too bland. And just let it sort of run and bleed. Done that everywhere else, so a little touch over here I think. Now I'm not really digging that bit. I might just add a bit more of that bright pink in there. Now the other thing you can do here is add some salt if you want to get some interesting little patterns. So I'm just going to add a few little crystals. Just in those bits where it's nice and wet. Just to get a little bit of variety. I'm just going to add a few splashes of colour because you know me, I like splashing around a bit. And it just makes my, I don't know, I like the look of it. A little bit less than perfect. A little splash here and there. Now I'll stop for the moment. Now I'll go away, let that dry. Let's give the jelly roll a whirl. Because what I'm trying to do is make little marks that look a bit like windows. I don't want it too regular though. And I lent in it again. I should really learn more patience. Oh dear. Right, the third time. That should probably tell me I should stop. Alright, so I've added a few little random bits of white jelly roll pen. Really liking it. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of shimmer with the Starry colours from Gansai Tambi. Now I haven't bothered priming these, and by that I mean I haven't added water to them, because I'm quite happy to use these in a quite mild version at the moment, quite pale. And what I'm going to do is drop some of it into these little puddles down here, just for something a little bit different. Let's go yellow gold, a couple of drops of water there. Now because I'm adding this while it's wet, it's going to kind of wick and do its own thing a bit. So I can't wait to see what it looks like when it's finished moving colour-wise. With this one, I'm just putting it around the edge here, and this one's already dry. Sort of a defined shape, a defined edge than some of the others. Now in other areas, you might like to add a few little gold speckles. I love these. They just look so pretty when you're looking at it afterwards. Just these few metallic touches. I'm going to add a bit into some of these here to make them look a bit starry. A few splats down the bottom. I hope I'm liking it so much I'm having trouble stopping. Whoops. Now it's at this point you can choose to add a little bit of gold. And again, if that happens to be too bold when you're finished, watercolour, just make it softer. So you can either take some of it off and blot it onto a piece of paper towel, or you can just blend it out into the surrounding area. I don't know about you, but I can't actually apply this the first time with a light enough hand to get a faint shimmer. But applying it like I did and then removing some of it, you can get exactly the colour I want. And I'm kind of liking that. So I'm going to leave that to dry. And then I'm almost done. Okay, so now that I've let this dry and I've gone and brushed off the salt, you can see the difference between the little marks that the salt makes when it's on a bit of damp cardstock compared to, let me see if I can show you this. See how you can actually see the little sparkly salt crystals? That's because the salt has dissolved in here a little bit in the puddle of water and left behind a little bit of residue. Now it's not going to hurt your journal page at all. In fact, I kind of like the little sparkly crystals in there. It's kind of cute. Now, before you take off the masking stuff, frisket, before you take off the frisket, we're going to need to do something about this letter here. See how the B is not surrounded by colour. Alright, so what I'm going to do is just use my pink Faber-Castell Pit marker, and I'm just going to carefully draw a very light line around the edge of this frisket. Now it's quite subtle, but that'll actually mean that you can read that second word. So here's the fun part. Now you can use an eraser for this, but I don't really find it needs it. I just sort of like pulling the frisket off, and it reveals the nice white protected layer underneath. Now I might need to touch a few tiny things up, but I think that is a really cool way to do a colour palette, because you can still see all of the individual colours that you've got to use, which is kind of the reason for it, but you can also see what they look like when they mix together a little, or when you do some funky stuff with it, or mix the colours, or make a few dripping puddles. So I find that really interesting and exciting to look at. Now I have a few little things to touch up on here before this is finished, and I think there's not much more I want to do to it because I love it just the way it is. So let me go and do a few little touch-ups. Like put a little bit of paint just to make some of these letters look a little bit prettier. Might even use some pencil. And I'd say we're almost done. Let's go for it. So I'm going to use my carbon pen because it's beautiful and fine, and I'm going to write the names of the colours on my actual piece. It's could go badly, we'll see. Now I'm just going to grab a piece of paper towel so I don't put my hand in any of those little wet bits. Okay. So now that I've got that, I kind of feel like I want to add a bit more black in here. Let's hope I don't ruin it. Okay, that's a beginning. I'm going to need to do a little bit more, I think. I don't know why. I feel like I needed to add those little squiggles, but I do. I suppose it's just picking out some of the patterns that the watercolours have made. And I like the fact that the top is sort of more clean colour, and then the bottom I've kind of added some of this gold and picked out a few pieces. Don't know why. Really loving that. So you can see that the gold over the top just gives an extra element. You've got all those little twinkling salt crystals in some of the areas where it was a bit wetter. And just a little bit of that shimmer. Just enhancing some of what's already there. And that is my Jane Davenport Brights. Better write that on here, hey. Jane Davenport Brights Watercolour Colour Palette. So I hope you've enjoyed this little clip for Lulu Art, and it gives you some inspiration to do something a little bit different with your next colour swatch page. And you all know I will be back soon. Bye!